What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Again, my name is Phil Sarpong. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to this channel for all your clinical psychology tips and advice. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between a PhD and a PsyD. Now, this is a question that I get a lot, and it's kind of a confusing question because a clinical psychologist that has a PhD and a clinical psychologist that has a PsyD, career-wise, once they get that title, they can both do the same thing. They both can do therapy, they both can do research, they both can be in academia and be professors. And so what's the difference between getting a PhD and a PsyD? Which one should you go for? How should you get it? What school should you go to? Stay tuned and hopefully I'll answer some of those questions. All right, so the question is, why would you get a PhD versus a PsyD or vice versa? Now, before we answer that question, first we have to focus on what is a PhD and what are PhD schools focusing on for their students. Now, it's really interesting. So there's three different models. You may have heard of these models. One of these models is called clinical science. And so these programs, the clinical science programs, are focused on psychologists basically just becoming professors, right? So if you want to become a psychology professor, if you want to just do research for the rest of your life, there are clinical psychology PhD programs that are focused on a model called clinical science. All right, the next model is clinical psychology programs that are PhD programs that have a science practitioner model. All right, these are the most common. And so for these models, these are for people that are going to do research, but they're also wanting to do clinical therapy. They're also wanting to see patients and do counseling and all those different things. And so this might be a good model for someone that loves research, but also can see themselves maybe in a private practice, maybe in a hospital, doing a little bit of both, right? Maybe doing a little bit of half the time they're in research or half the time they're in clinical therapy. And so this model is great. These programs are amazing because they give you a stipend. Most programs will give you a stipend, and so you don't have to pay anything. The other thing that's really cool is that the cohorts are really small, and so usually you're paired up with a faculty member who you're just going to do one-on-one research with them. Now, the thing that is hard about this program is that it's a little bit of a longer program. So usually these programs are about 6 years, okay? So 6 years of school and then 1 year of an internship. And so it usually takes around 6 to 7 years to completely finish the degree. And so if you do love research though, and you can see yourself doing a little bit of both, a little bit of research and a little bit of therapy, and you don't want to pay as much money, and you're not and spending 6 to 7 years of education isn't that big of a deal for you, then these might be a good program for you. The last one is the PsyD. And so the PsyD model is practitioner, scholar, or scholar practitioner model. Now, this is actually the model that I'm a part of. I am a clinical psychology PsyD doctoral student. And so for this model is mostly all about clinical therapy. But it does have research as well, okay? And so these are for people that can see themselves private practices or hospitals or wherever, but they are mainly focused on clinical therapy. They're focused on counseling, they're focused on assessment, they're focused on seeing patients. If they want to though, they can definitely focus on research. In fact, I know a lot of clinical psychology PsyD professionals that are only doing research. And so it really, at the end of the day, it matters where you want to go to and what you want to focus on. But if you want to go into a program that is a PsyD program, as long as you make sure that they're also a good research program, it might be a good option for you if you can see yourself doing both research and clinical therapy in the future. Now, I will say, so for the clinical psychology PsyD programs, they're a little bit shorter, all right? They're not 6, 7 years, but they're usually around 5 years, okay? So that's 4 years of classes and clinical therapy and then 1 year of an internship. So they're a little bit shorter than the clinical psychology PhD programs. However, they do not usually give a stipend. In fact, usually you have to either pay out of pocket for tuition or take out student loans for your tuition. So that is the downside of a clinical psychology PsyD program. But again, if you like therapy, this might be a really great option for you. For me, specifically in the program that I'm in, I'm already seeing patients, I'm already seeing clients along with supervision, and I love it. I love the fact that I'm already first year in it, seeing patients, seeing clients, and also doing research on the side too. In fact, like I said before, there are clinical psychology PsyD programs that do both really, really well. They do the research side really, really well, and they also do the clinical therapy side really, really well. So if you're interested in that, that might be a great option for you. Now, like I said before, guys, whether you become a clinical psychology PhD program or clinical psychology PsyD doctorate, whether you get your degree in either one, at the end of the day, both can do the same thing. I know there's a lot of myths about how a PhD is so much better than a PsyD and is so much more respected. It's really not true. In fact, the truth is that PsyD programs are just a little bit newer than PhD programs, and so they've taken a little bit longer to get into the public eye and to get known a little bit. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It's really more so about the individual and what you want to focus on and what school you go to. If you guys have any questions, definitely put some questions down below. I'll do my best to answer every question. And yeah, so if this video helped you out, definitely give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more clinical psychology tips and advice. With that, I will see you guys in the next video.